What if an AI could do more than just follow your commands? What if it could actually understand your intentions, maybe guess what you're feeling, and even predict what you're going to do next? This isn't some far-off science fiction fantasy. It's the goal of a really fascinating field called theory of mind AI. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it works. So let's start with the big question, right? Can a machine really put itself in our shoes? I mean, this is a huge deal. We're not just talking about an AI recognizing a smile. We're talking about building a system that can simulate one of our most deeply human abilities, empathy. So what is theory of mind AI exactly? Well, at its core, it's an AI that's designed to build a working model of someone's mental state. But let's be super clear about something. This is not about the AI actually feeling your emotions. Nope, it's about processing clues to figure out your motivations and then calculate your most likely next move. It's all a simulation, not a sensation. Okay, so to make any kind of prediction, the AI has to become an expert detective. Seriously, it has to gather all these little clues by observing us in incredible detail. So let's take a look at the kind of evidence it's collecting. It really starts by piecing together a picture of our emotional state from these simple, observable cues. A smile versus a frown. Are you standing with an open posture or are you all closed off? Even how fast you're walking. Every single one of these becomes a data point. It all helps the AI make an educated guess about what's going on inside your head. And believe me, it gets even more technical. The AI isn't just looking, it's also listening. It uses stuff like fast Fourier transform analysis, which, look, is just a fancy way of saying it breaks down the sound waves in your voice to decode the emotion in your tone. It's also analyzing your word choice and even tracking your limb movements to try and figure out your intentions. It's all about building the most accurate profile it possibly can. But, all this data is pretty much useless without some context. To make any sense of it, the AI needs a massive library of knowledge to pull from. In other words, it needs experience. So what does experience even mean for an AI? It's not memories or feelings like we have. For an AI, it's basically a giant database of cause and effect, a huge list of actions that are linked to their outcomes. And this becomes the AI's roadmap for trying to understand how we humans behave. So how does it get this experience? Well, there are two main ways. First, there's direct experience, which is learning by doing. Just think of a robot bumping into walls over and over to learn the layout of a maze. But indirect experience, that's where things get really powerful. This is when an AI, like a large language model, just plows through millions of human stories, articles, and online interactions to learn the patterns of our behavior on a massive, massive scale. So the AI has observed us, it's consulted its huge library of experience, and now we get to the really cool part, putting it all together to run what's basically an empathy simulation. This is like the five-step dance of computational empathy. First, it observes you, gathering all that data. Then, and this part is just incredible, it temporarily loads your motivations, essentially trying on your perspective for a moment. After that, it consults its experience library for similar situations. It predicts your most probable next action, and then finally, it evaluates how your predicted move is going to impact its own goals. And let's be absolutely crystal clear about this. The AI is not trying to feel your joy or your anger. Its goal is entirely computational. It's all about using all the data it has to calculate the single most probable human action in any given situation. It's really just a high-stakes prediction game. So, why does any of this matter to us? Well, because this tech isn't just some research project stuck in a lab anymore. It has some pretty profound real-world implications, and that means it carries both incredible promise and some significant peril. I mean, the potential here is immense. You can imagine healthcare bots that can actually understand a patient's distress, or factory robots that can anticipate a worker's next move to prevent an accident. But the flip side is daunting. A tool that understands us this well could easily be used for manipulation. Plus, it requires collecting deeply personal data. And it's still far from perfect. It really struggles with accuracy and understanding the full context of a situation. And these limitations are so critical. The truth is, human behavior isn't always logical. Our emotions are messy, and social context is incredibly nuanced. The AI is essentially trying to navigate with an incomplete map. And the more data it needs to try and fill in that map, well, the more it raises some very serious questions about our privacy. And that brings us to our final and maybe most provocative question. As this technology gets more and more accurate, we really have to ask ourselves, if an AI can predict our actions, who is really in control?
It's a question that goes way beyond code and gets right to the very heart of our future with artificial intelligence.